Okay, welcome to the December 12th board meeting of the Western Reserve Local Schools. May I have roll call, please?
Mark Halls.
Present.
Richard Blevins.
Present.
Brian Benyo.
Present.
Melissa Potts. Present. Lisa Potts.
Present. Have it stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll begin with the treasurer's recommendations. It is recommended that the minutes of the November 14th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Education be approved as mailed to each member in advance of the meeting.
Second.
Mr. Benyo.
Yes.
Mr. Blevins.
Yes.
Mr. Halls.
Yes.
Mrs. Potts. Mrs. Potts.
Yes.
Motion carries. It is recommended that the November 2013 financial reports be approved and the November listing of bills be approved as mailed to each member in advance of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Blevins.
Yes.
Mr. Halls.
Yes.
Mrs. Potts.
Yes.
Mrs. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Benyo.
Yes.
Motion carried. It is recommended that the following resolution be adopted for Western Reserve Local Schools to join the Ohio School Boards Association's Legal Assistance Fund. Whereas the Western Reserve Local Board of Education wishes to support the efforts of other Board of Educations to obtain favorable judicial decisions, and whereas the Ohio School Boards Association Legal Assistance Fund has been established for this purpose. Therefore, the Board hereby resolves to participate in the OSBA LAF for calendar year 2014 and authorizes the treasurer to pay the LAF $250.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Halls.
Yes.
Mrs. Potts. Yes. Mrs. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Benyo.
Yes.
Mr. Blevins.
Yes. Motion carries. It is recommended that the date, time, and place for the 2014 organizational meeting be set with current Board Vice President Rich Blevins presiding until the 2014 Board President is elected. The regular January Board meeting will immediately follow.
We need to look at least January 16th, which would be the third Thursday for that. So we should take care of some of those things that we need to do in that time frame. And then it's up to you guys from that point. Stay the second Thursday. The 16th would be okay.
Yeah, don't change it. I just got used to it.
So in January is the third Thursday.
January the 16th and the second Thursday.
At 7 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mrs. Potts. Yes. Mrs. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Benyo.
Yes.
Mr. Blevins.
Yes.
Mr. Halls.
Yes. Motion carried. It is recommended that the following list be approved as the Western Reserve Local Schools Student Directory information according to the FERPA. Students' name, address, dates of attendance, the most recent education agency and institution attended, weight and height of members of athlete teams, grade levels, quotas, participation in officially recognized activities and sports, degrees, honors, and awards received.
Now that's directory information that anybody can request. And so, some of those things like email, personal ID numbers, those can be part of that directory information, but I'm recommending that we don't include that, phone numbers. This would be, anything from the branches of the military, which we do send a notice out at the beginning of the year for high school students, if they choose not to be contacted by the branches of the military. And any of this information, if a parent refuses to give consent, but this is what we would normally distribute if we were requested by anybody for just members of the kids at the school. So, and then the athletic programs, those kind of things. There are pictures, there's names, and height and weight in those, so we figured we would include that as direct information should anybody ask for it. And that's all based on the FERPA federal guidelines.
I'll move it. Second.
Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes.
Motion carried. It is recommended that the following donations received during the past year be accepted. And you can read through them for yourselves.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving to the superintendent's recommendations. It is recommended that Brian Fonderland be added to the certified substitute list.
So moved.
Second.
Brian is student teaching in the middle school, did a great job, and is very interested in being part of us as much as he can as a substitute teacher, and we're looking for those.
Good.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Carried. It is recommended that Richard Hedrick be added to the classified substitute list.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Motion carried. It is recommended that the request from Gina Alexander for maternity leave effective March 24th, 2014, and extending through the remaining 2013-14 school year be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Potts? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes. Motion carried. It is recommended that the transfer request made by Mabel Perling to transfer from janitor to school bus driver be approved.
So
Second. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes.
Motion carried. It is recommended that Edward Anthony be hired as a varsity baseball head coach for the 2013-14 school year.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Benyo?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Motion carried. It is recommended that Andrew Haight be hired as head varsity track coach for the 2013-14 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Mrs. Potts? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins? Oops, sorry,
Yes.
Mr. Benyo?
Motion carried. Moving to the building principal reports. Ms. Farrelly?
It's been busy, as you can imagine, and next week's going to be a little bit busier. It's an exciting week at the elementary school. We're all excited about Santa Claus and all the things that come with it. But in November, we got our results of the third graders have to take the Ohio Achievement Assessment in October, and that's their first round. And if you remember, I talked to you a little bit about they put a new third grade guarantee in, whereas if they don't pass it by the end of third grade, they have to be retained. And that's not a lot we can do about that. 70% of our third graders actually passed, with 28% scoring accelerated and 17% scoring advanced. So it looks really good. We had 9 students that didn't score that 392 or better. So right now we're doing intensive interventions with them and their families, both. We're working with parents. That grant that we got, we have that family literacy program. Marcia Nadaski is working with us on that, and then the teachers are also working on that. We've been working and planning. We've had 2 family literacy nights, as well as Marcia's made contact through the month with them. We have 100% participation in that. We have to, for the students that did not either that are in the first group, which those students did not score on track on their diagnostic assessment screenings, and the students who did not pass the Ohio Achievement Assessment. We have to write RIMP plans, which is Reading Improvement and Monitoring Plans, and we have to monitor them monthly with the parents. And so we've met with the parents. There's 2 parents we have yet to meet with. We'll do that right as soon as we get back from Christmas vacation, and that was as per the parents. And but we've already started interventions. We've got tutoring, and we're doing intensive reading intervention. Last year, we had a few more that did not pass the fall. All of them passed in the spring. So we'll work hard on that. We've had a couple of concerts. 3rd grade, if you remember, they did theirs in November 25th, 3rd and 4th grade. It was a nice concert. Last night, I think Mr. Zatchak was entertained. Kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade had a outstanding concert. It was just made you feel good. It did. The kids were wonderful. They sang, they danced, they did a really nice job, and Elizabeth did a very nice job with them. That's hard. You think about trying to teach a kindergartner. Mark, you probably think that's easy, but for me, that would be a hard thing, teaching a kindergartner, like to do all the things that they do. That's hard. So anyway, it was very nice, and it made you feel really good. We had the culmination of our first after-school art program. We had so many kids sign up. We had up to over 50 kids. We stopped it at 30. Lucille said she's going to do it again in January. We had parents that wanted the younger K1 and 2 to do it too. We had our first art show, and it was fun. I mean, we had cookies. It was like an art exhibit, and the children now have their first portfolio. So it's a wonderful thing. In January, we're going to also add some after-school music class. We're going to do some percussion and some singing. Right now, we have a little glee club, I guess, in the middle school. A couple of really cool things going on, and then we'll add martial arts as well. Let's see, what else do I have? One thing that we did that you need to know is the teachers, they're changing to the new Ohio Revised Standards. And so on November 25th and 26th, we brought them K to 12 by content area together, and we talked across the grade levels. And what our purpose was, they took sticky notes, color-coded sticky notes, and they basically put what are they doing under each standard. So we can, and what I'm in the process of doing right now is putting together a spreadsheet. So we can say, where are the gaps, K to 12? Where do we need to fill in? What are you doing? What are some common language we need to be using across the board? So we start when they're in K1, 2, whatever, and then carry that common language, We went through borrowing, then we went to regrouping. Now we're composing and decomposing numbers. So we're trying to get common language and maybe put together something for parents, too, a resource for parents so they know what we're talking about. Then on Waiver Day, they worked in smaller groups together. That was December 2nd? Yeah, and they worked in smaller groups. It's going to be a lot of curriculum work. Today, I was at Curriculum Council, and I was taking their curriculum maps and going through and making sure it had all the elements. So now I'll start meeting with the grade levels to go over their curriculum. It's a big, big project, huge. And it's nice that we're here because we can work K to 12. We're very fortunate. A lot of places can't do that. They would like to. It's just easier said than done when you're in different buildings, so we're very fortunate. Something I've been trying to do since I was in the elementary school the last time is bring a visiting author in. Shelley Gill is she's from Alaska, and she is coming to spend the day with our students on January 29th and then with parents on the night of January 29th. So that's exciting. I'll give more information to you. She's going to sign books. They're going to meet an author. It's very cool. Springfield actually got Shelley Gill, and then they asked if anyone wanted to jump on board, and I said, sign us up. So it's a really nice experience for them to meet an author. We did that in the middle school a couple of years ago when Eva Schlatten came, and that was a wonderful experience. This is awesome. And she writes fiction, but it's like realistic fiction. She actually wrote on the Iditarod. She has swam with whales, and all of the stories are about her experiences. So it'll be kind of cool. So, other than that, we're doing schools. So, and one other thing. I know, I'm long. I know. The kids, our theme for this year has been citizenship, being good citizens. So during the holidays, people keep asking, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? From November to December, we've done Pennies for Patients, and if you go by the elementary office, you'll see tons of snowmen on our windows. The Lions Club, we filled 2 big boxes of scarves, hats, and gloves. We did the canned food drive for the Ruritan, and then we have these little houses, and we're collecting pop tabs for Ronald McDonald House. So everyone's participated. So instead of doing a contest, we are going to have a Polar Express Day on the morning of the 20th. Everyone's coming to school in their pajamas. We're watching the Polar Express, and then we're going to have some hot chocolate and sugar cookies, and then parties in the afternoon. So just to say thank you. Wrap it up. So that's it. That's what we've been doing at the elementary school.
Piggybacking a little bit on the 25th and 26th and December 2nd, it was interesting to see, and we talked about some people are going to be very uncomfortable with where they're at and what they're sharing, and that was very evident. Some people don't like to share their ideas, and we did get them all to share because we went K-12 on the 25th and 26th, and it was interesting to see where our gaps were, and you could see by just the vocabulary and how many things are similar, but yet we're not linking them. And on the second, we broke down to the smaller groups, and I could say one of the groups, the junior high math people, really were able to see, well, here's where some of our gaps are. And that's really helping them to sit down and look at from the 2 days we did together, well, here's what we're missing from 5th to 6th, 6th to 7th, and now we know where to close some of those gaps. And it really helped with 8th grade because she's realizing where the next step has to be when you get to 9th, 10th. And some of the things that they're teaching, and a big part of it was differentiation. We talked about how to differentiate with different kids and how you have to work with all different types of students. Not everyone is a shining star in every subject, so you have to work yourself with them.
Yeah, where they have the problem is we brainstormed a lot of ideas for the kids that are higher level. It's the lower level ones we do pretty well with. It's those higher level ones to just really take them, not go to the next grade level, but go deeper in their content, make them really think critically, go to those higher level thinking skills and stuff.
Yeah, because we do spend a lot of time with the lower level kids, and our middle to upper kids sometimes we forget. And for those kids, what we want to see is the big growth from kindergarten all the way through, and then when you start that testing in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th, to see that big step. And I really think we're heading in the right direction, and they're on board with that. It's taking a little bit of time for them, but when we throw out the curriculum mapping and stuff, it is a lot of work for them.
I have to tell you, though, our teachers, we should be very proud because I go to places, like I was at the ESC today, and they go, how's all this going, this transition and the slows? And I said, really, they're a little nervous about it, but they're all on board. I don't really think we hear a lot of complaining. A lot of other districts hear a lot of complaining, and there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of negativity, but we have teachers that are really, they're on board, and they're pretty positive about it. I mean, they don't love it, but they've got a positive attitude.
They don't all love it, but a couple of the other things we've had. Today we had our Spanish National Honor Society induction. 12 students were inducted into the National Honor Society for Spanish. It was conducted down in Senor Yates' room, and there were some parents showed up for the introduction. They were invited. It was a nice little ceremony, very similar to the National Honor Society, but it's of course the Spanish National Honor Society. And all the 12 kids had to have a 3.5 or higher, so they're all really, really good students from that standpoint. As Debbie mentioned, we had our choir concert on the 10th, just this past Tuesday. I'll tell you what, they did a great job with the kids. The 6th grade kids, there aren't many boys sometimes in it, but some of the boys in there can really sing. And there's some really, really good musicians in that group as far as voice and I don't know what you'd call them. As choir-wise, it's not really, but they are musicians. But they did a great job with those kids, and I'll tell you what, they really put you in the holiday mood. Great duet by Tommy Jackson and Ashley Burkall. They did a great job with that. And also at the end, the last group that sang were our middle school MH kids. They did the 12 Days of Christmas.
Beautiful.
And another song, and I'll tell you what, they did a great job, and Bob did a nice job, and Liz did a nice job working with those kids. We got so much talent, and Liz has a really talented group in the junior high as well coming up. So that went really well. That was on Tuesday night. The odd thing was we had it at 4 o'clock because initially we thought we had a basketball game that night, but we've moved, and we still probably had about 200 people there. Parents, which wasn't bad. Not quite as many as last night, but K12 tend to bring a whole lot more people than 612. Our band concert is next week on the 17th. That's at 6:30. That'll be here in the cafetorium. That'll be our 612. Today, our 10th graders met with Jackie Kuffel from the Mahoning County Joint Vocational School. She showed them some of the programs that they have, the new programs. And we'll be doing a tour of the vocational school in January with our 10th graders. So that'll be coming up as well. We also had the Department of Motor Vehicles come in last week and spend the whole day with our classes, our 10th grade classes and 11th grade classes, and talk to them about defensive driving tactics, right, and driving defensively, and being aware of what's going on. And it was a pretty good program by them that they put on. They had 5 people here all day long, and worked with our kids throughout the day. We're also doing a fundraiser, correct? The fundraising lady over there for Akron Children's Hospital. Would you like to explain what we're doing? Adam, you want to explain?
Coins for Kids, all the local schools in the Tri-County area, they're all raising money for Akron Children's Hospital. And we involved K through 12. That's what Mrs. Sprelly was explaining about with the snowman up in the hall. And for the high school, we hosted a Spirit Week where kids could dress up for the themes and then pay $1 each day. And in the high school alone, we made about $600. And we didn't get the money back yet from the elementary school, but from what I hear, they did very good too. So.
And the school that contributes the most gets?
Handles Ice Cream is sponsoring an ice cream party for the entire school, and we also get a DJ for the dance of our choice, whether it be prom or homecoming.
And it's
Trying to win that award.
And Taylor and Adam also come to our family literacy night from Akron Children's Hospital. That's one of our partners, and they actually work with our children, with the children this night. So there are 2 of them. We have a couple more, but there are 2 that always come. So
They do a lot of volunteering with Akron Children's Hospital as well. Throughout the school days, in some cases. What is it, 2 days a month? That they do that with. So they do a great job with that. And Taylor, she's a fundraising queen. She loves to figure out ways to raise money. But that went very well. Also, next week we have our junior high spelling bee on Friday. That'll be first thing in the morning in the cafetorium, followed by our mid-year awards assembly. And the mid-year awards assembly is designed to include more kids in getting awards. And each teacher has to nominate kids who are either working really hard this 9 weeks, maybe they didn't make honor roll last time, but they're working really hard. And those kids will all be nominated and be given awards from that standpoint. It's a nice little thing to recognize more and more students. So that'll be next Friday, and that'll be followed by the junior high volleyball game at the end of the day. It's basically a junior high activity day for the most part on Friday. And that'll be in the reserve gym, volleyball. Everything else will be in the cafetorium, the awards assembly, as well as the spelling bee. And that's about all we have. The sports, Jeff Martig's not here. The other night, our girls upset Columbiana, who's chosen to be basically the front runners in girls basketball. Our girls upset them 40-34, which was a big win for our girls program. A game that, quite frankly, nobody thought we'd have a chance in. And they did a great job with that. The boys do not open up until tomorrow night. The girls are 2-2, and they play tonight. Our junior high 7th graders are 3-1. They lost last night to Springfield. Our 8th graders are 4-0. So they're playing very, very well. And it says a lot for the time that they spend, coaching, the teachers coaching, and the kids actually, and the parents sacrificing to get the kids here for practice. That's all I have.
Practice OA test.
OAA.
Yes.
Do we do practice OAA test here?
We do, what do you mean? I mean, like, we do practice OAAs, yeah.
have
I mean,
practice OAAs,
We do, like, we pull off and we do them, but as far as, are you talking about, like, the canned stuff that you can order?
Yes, our schools are doing them now. I just wondered if all the schools were doing
We're,
that.
the only, is it the pilot? Are you talking about the park pilot? We are in the park pilot,
Yeah,
and
that'll
that's
be in
not
the
until
spring.
May.
Yeah.
And we're not, I don't know, maybe it is, we do, I mean, we do our own, but not really from the state, no.
Also, just a quick update, and I don't know how I forgot this, but we have sat down with our teachers, and we've sat down with the college and high school folks from YSU. Next year, and we just wrote the last 2 recommendation letters, but next year we will be offering 30 college and high school credits here. So you don't have to leave here to get college credits. We'll be able to offer those in all different courses from, in English, we're going to be offering 3 courses. In the reading, or pardon me, the college writing, the literature and diversity, as well as the oral communications, which is the basic speech class for freshmen going into college that we all took that we hated. But they'll be able to do that here where it's a whole lot more comfortable. We're going to have the physics, calculus, we're going to do statistics, philosophy, or psychology, I'm sorry, not philosophy, psychology. We're also looking at chemistry. Yeah. So where we have right now, calculus will be in there as well. So we have 30 hours we figure out now because of what we can offer. So next year our kids, our juniors, seniors, primarily seniors, will have a wide variety of things that they could take that will not only get them high school credit, but also college credit. That's why it's a dual credit program, so you get credit for both. So it really is going to work out nice for the kids. They don't have to leave the atmosphere of being with their friends. They can actually stay here and still get the college credits taken care of.
Does there have to be a certain amount of students enrolled in
No, well, the reason why, because we can still teach our English 12, but because we teach lit and diversity and that and writing, it's all the same course. So the kids who will want to get the college and high school credit, they'll do a little bit extra as far as some assignments, but they'll be right within the 11th and 12th grade class. Yes, those credits are good at any state schools. And currently, right now, those credits are good at any state university, and currently the district, of course, all districts pay for those credits.
And actually, I think the psychology is an online course, so they can, during the study hall, come down and do that course here in the library or in the classroom where there's a study hall class.
Psychology is a course that YSU will have the instructor. We won't have to provide the instructor. And as Mr. Zatchuk said, they can come down here and work on it anytime they want to work on it. And they can work on it from home even. And they'll get the psychology credits, an online course. Everything else will be taught within the classroom from that standpoint. But it's an opportunity for our kids, and even though we're small, we can still provide them with a lot of things that will get them that extra jump, and hopefully if they take full advantage, they can go into their, that senior to sophomore idea where you're going to leave here and you'll be a sophomore the following year, and parents are that much further ahead. So we've been doing a lot of work on that and getting a lot of things done to try and get that in line.
Okay, any of the other reports are not here tonight? Right.
I've got a couple things, but go ahead.
Cliff Zimmerman, would you like to?
Yes, thanks for giving me a minute here. There was something brought to my attention that I wanted to bring up to you guys. I went and talked to the high school principal, and I'm here to voice concerns over, I hear we're going to have some kind of paying for a student parking pass. I myself, and I'm here on behalf of these guys come to me and some of their fellow students the way they feel. They don't feel that this should be a pay-to-park lot. The taxpayers already paid for this parking lot and its upkeep. Also, a little question, I don't know if there's going to be faculty parking passes I'm sure we're not going to charge the faculty because that probably wouldn't fly with their union. The kids don't have a union, so we're here to voice concern for that. I'm here to ask you to reconsider charging for that. Students drive already. I think they saved the school some money. I know there was a year when my oldest drove and a neighbor drove and the bus didn't come down our street anymore for the high school. So I'm sure that saved you a little money in the beginning. And I really, I understand it's nice to know who's in the parking lot. I talked to some of you guys and you said, well, Austintown does it. We're not Austintown. There's not 600 kids in a grade here. These kids out in the parking lot, they know everybody in that parking lot. If there's somebody there causing trouble, everybody's going to know who it is. It's not, we're not parked next to a mall or a grocery store where somebody's going to be parked there, using a business next door. I think we're kind of small and got it under control. I don't know, I come to speak for you guys, but you guys ended up speaking anyway, so I don't know if you guys got anything to add to this.
I don't know, I guess it was said that the money that we pay is for parking lot maintenance. Does that include like salting and like plowing it? Because there's teachers that have complained about how much snow and how much ice has been on it already, when we really haven't even got that much snow. And if this is implemented, I don't know, I think there's still going to be kids that don't pay it, and I think that's just going to be okay for certain kids because they're not, I don't know, under the same rules, I guess. And whether or not you think so, I mean, all the kids see it, and some of the teachers even see that all the kids aren't treated the same at the schools, so I don't know.
And I guess, I don't know, somebody I mentioned to, one of the board members I talked to about this earlier, he wasn't sure anybody had any, he was first he's heard anybody having any concerns about this. Well, I'm sure these guys are willing to go out and do a little petition if you guys want to know how the public feels about it. I'm sure they'd do that for you. And if we are going to do this, I got a couple of questions. What are we going to do with a car that don't have a pass on it? What are we going to do with that? What are we going to have the safety officer stand out in the parking lot every morning checking passes to let it in? I think he could be used for a lot of other things. And what are we going to do with the money that we collect from this? And that's about it. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So what is the fee, set fee for parking pass that we're...
$15.
$15 a...
Number of just per tag
Okay,
for a car for the whole year.
$15 a year.
Is that tag movable from car to car? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And one of the purposes of the tag is obviously to identify the vehicles and make sure it is students parking in the student parking area. We had a lot of discussions about this. We talked to some other schools that have done that. We do have parking areas that need maintenance. We for years have talked about that, and that was just one of those things that we never did charge a fee for. We have certain things that do have a fee, certain classes. Some of you are in chemistry, you have a chemistry lab fee, some of those kind of things. It's the cost of those things are just like the cost for you at home are going up, the cost for us are going up, and it was a way that we had discussed for quite a while and trying to come up with a reasonable fee. I know some schools are $10, some are $50. I believe some at one point we talked somebody was $70 or $80.
Arlington was $85.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean we have to do what they do, but we looked at that as something to to look at it and as a reasonable fee for that privilege to drive to school, I guess. And looking at that, we didn't just kind of pick out a number or pick out a reason or any fund that goes to. It's just a fee that we can utilize and take advantage of is the reasoning behind that. But I understand your concerns with that as well.
Are there still schools that offer free parking for the students too?
That I don't know.
More of the schools around us have a
Pretty
fee.
sure Jackson Milton, I don't think you pay to park at Jackson. From what I looked into, what else did I have?
Also parking passes there. And mainly, because in this day and age, there's a lot of things going on. We have a resource officer. We have our doors locked now, and we're kind of monitoring more who's coming and going in the building. I know just 4 or 5 years ago, my son in elementary, that you could walk right in and out, and so now with things going, we really need to know whose cars are whose and regulate who is in the lot.
I understand that, and I also understand that here, just along my lines, I'm sure we're not charging faculty for parking passes. We're charging students for parking passes. I had a lot to do with baseball when the kids were younger, and anytime we used the high school for an event, we made sure not to say we were charging for parking. All right? We took donations because people I don't think I should pay for parking for a school that my tax dollars paid to put here, my tax dollars is paying to maintain the snow, the salt, the potholes. That's just my thought, and I'm sure it's not only my thought, but I can only give you my thoughts. And I just wanted to bring that up to you guys and see if you guys wanted to reconsider that or if that's how it was.
Well, we'll take it under advisement and we'll talk it over. I certainly would want to, because honestly, I have not heard from anybody regarding that. And so it kind of took me a little bit.
And we really worked to keep the price down, so it was a minimal fee and really just to cover, us tracking and making the permits and the cost of it. Buying...
Cliff, what are you saying?
I think the thing I'll say, though, is that nobody likes paying for anything. That's a reality. We all know that. Nobody likes paying your taxes. You don't like paying for fees on your license plate, but we all have to do it. The decision we made to add a resource officer was done in recognizing this comes at a cost. It comes at a cost, and there's both sides of the equations have to be considered in all matters. The decision to add this and adding the controls that it brings and adding the oversight that it brings at a really a pretty minimal cost was done with all those things in mind. There's, nobody's going to be totally happy, but yet I hope everybody respects why it was done.
I believe that, and like Adam brought up about be on a fair playing field. Everybody that's parked in a lot, by God, if everybody has a parking pass from a faculty member down to a student, whack them all $15. Don't pick and choose who you're going to charge. I mean, am I right? Is that more or less kind of where you're getting with that?
Well, if he goes to LSU, the faculty are going to get issued a parking pass, and the students are going to be paying. Yeah, but
even a small
he knows every kid he's parked with out there. He knows. I'm sure at Austintown, there's kids you graduate with that you never even heard of before.
I'm sure that's not the only school that I gave you today, so you only
Well, I'm
talked
using that for an example.
Yeah, it was Canfield charges, Ursuline charges, Boardman charges. Everyone charges to help offset some of the costs that they're incurring, obviously. With helping out with maintenance of the parking lots and stuff. But
It's a privilege driving, and it's optional. I mean, it's not a mandatory thing. The bus comes, and we'll pick the kids up, so it's not a mandatory thing. And the main thing, too, is that driving's a privilege. So if your pass gets revoked, then, if you don't honor and follow the rules and the safety rules, then that can be taken, away.
$15, it ain't the amount of money. I think it's the principle of the thing that irritates me. It's going to irritate a lot of people. Yeah, you monitor it, and you have that to take that privilege away from the kids. But here you have kids that are right now leaving to go to college classes. They're leaving to do volunteer work that we talked about earlier. We're going to pay for that right also, I guess. I don't see where that's 100% fair either.
We'll have more discussions on it. I'll do some checking on the area schools to see where we stand compared to those. I can get back to you.
All right, if you'd like, I'm sure these guys would be more than willing to take a little petition around, see how many people in the area are. I know you haven't heard anything about it. I didn't know about it, and I ask things every day trying to find out what's going on. I found out about it here recently. So I never saw this in the roundup in the notes from the board, that this was something coming. I didn't see it coming until I found out about it. So maybe the whole community don't know about it yet.
I believe it was listed with the school fees that we approved right back in June.
You know, and it's hard over the past year because we had to make some decisions because bottom line is safety of the kids. And we had to make decisions with drug testing and all that stuff. And I'm telling you what, Cliff, it's been hard. It's been hard sitting on this end of the table and trying to make these decisions because the bottom line is these guys. And if something bad was to happen and we didn't take that one step, and yeah, I agree with you. I had to write that check for the $15 today for Hunter. And I get that. But you know what? If it's going to mean, if it's that step, why didn't you guys charge for parking because somebody brought a bomb in and blah, blah, you just don't know. And really sitting here making these decisions over the past year, it's been scary. And I appreciate your concern. I feel the
Somebody
same.
who's going to walk in here and park out there and do something, I don't think they'd come get a parking pass from you first to do it.
Even just yesterday, there was a bullet found in the hallway. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of that, but yeah, that was found and that was taken to the office. And that kid, he didn't drive to school. He was a middle schooler, I think. So even the buses, it's still going to happen regardless if you drive to school or if you ride the bus to
No matter
school.
what.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, we as community members and board members and whatnot, we're trying to do the best we can do to take these precautions so that it is safe for you guys and for us as parents to come here.
I would hope my tax dollars cover the safety of the school before. Here again, $15 ain't going to make or break nobody in the world. It's a principle to think. And I would hope that the taxes are set up enough to cover a resource officer. You know, we went ahead with that. The township pays part of that. I would hope safety's already built into a lot of the finances in the school. I would hope it was. If we needed to shut off half the lights to pay for safety, I would hope we would do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not looking to cut safety. I'm just looking to...
Understand why. I agree.
Right.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I go.
Any other comments?
I just have a couple things. I guess to start off, the straight A fund that we made to the second round, we stopped there. We didn't get the money that we asked for the solar energy. It's kind of concerning when you can start to see, I'll get my editorial in here, you can see some of the politics in the games, even with money for education, and some of the districts that were awarded money, ECOT, which is a charter school, was awarded $3 million to do, basically make individual plans for students in grades 6 through 12 in math, which we've been doing. You know, if a kid struggles, we come up with a plan, and so it's kind of frustrating when you put that time and effort into it, and Debbie and Doug have put a ton of time into it, and you want to make sure you've crossed every T and dotted every I, and in some cases it's like you almost didn't have a chance. So, but you know, there's a second round, and we'll see where that comes from that. But really, the only area that got anything was Trumbull County Career and Tech Center, got about $200,000 for a wellness initiative, which we've been doing for a couple of years. Good for them, they got it. So I don't want to sound like sour grapes, but the grapes are a little sour right now.
Because ours was really good. Ours was really good for kids.
Innovative and sustainability. Those were two things that we thought we really had something, you know, do solar energy and save money by going to solar energy and using that money for STEM education and the curriculum. But we'll see. We're supposed to get a review of what they thought of what we did, and then we'll revise. A couple things for you to think about, and no decision made or anything, and I've been kind of kicking this around, and with the roundup, and I know it's been a great thing, and you know, I was sitting there thinking the other day, you know, I'm in my 50s, I'm one of the older parts of the community. I look at newspapers on my phone, we go on the computer, we look at, you know, and the kids probably never look at an actual paper newspaper, between the Facebook and the social media, just to look at with our roundup, between the advertising that we get, but the cost for mailing and printing, it's costing us about $3,700 a year to put that out, and to look at maybe phasing in an electronic version. I was at a meeting yesterday, and a guy had spoke about a social media It's called Grund. And I don't know if you guys know any kids that go to Austintown, but Austintown Fitch has this, and it's almost like you, again, don't laugh at me if I use the wrong word, but you can constantly they showed us a clip where a kid was at the Canfield Fitch basketball game, and he was blogging or tweeting or whatever the right word, so-and-so just made a basket, Fitch is up by 5, and gave like minute-by-minute accounts of the game. There are sections that you can have Kids Coins for Cancer can have a section. Anybody can click on it, see what the tally is, make announcements, boosters, 4-H, and I'm thinking all those things that we do in our monthly roundup can be more real-time and updated as things go. So just kind of think about it and phasing that in. And I talked to Allison Huff, and again, she's a volunteer. We've got articles that are due to her next week, and she's got little ones, and she's going to be doing Christmas stuff and trying to get that together. She takes it to the printer, she brings it back, she takes it to the post office, and without volunteers like that, this is something that we could all kind of do our own part to. The principal at Fitch had his own thing. He'd go on and do things. Pictures, we had the concert last night. We could have pictures of that concert almost as soon as it was over. Put some things on there. So just something to think about and see how we could phase that, maybe phase that in and see. And like I said, getting to be one of the elders in the community, I still use the electronic stuff much more. And I think that everybody that's younger than me probably does so much. And you can put the school closing. Whenever we have those, they can be, and then I think you can even sign up for push notifications so that if something was put on there, school closing, it automatically go to your phone, and those kind of things that you guys all get all the time probably. But and again, something I think we can involve the kids with too, and see what their thoughts are on that, because it would be just I guess we talk about teaching the kids 21st century skills, but yet some of the things we do are still 19th century things, and I think we need to push that way. So that was one thing. The other thing I gave you is a copy of 2 drafts of the school calendar for 14-15 school year, and I had mentioned this a while back. One of the struggles with the vocational school is they've got 14 schools from the county all coming to one place. And one school starts in the middle of August, and another one starts the day after Labor Day, some start the Wednesday after Labor Day. Christmas breaks vary, Easter breaks, spring breaks. So looking at trying to come up with something, there's 2 versions there that just to kind of look at and think about. And really, I think the big thing is the spring break or Easter break, and the talk of maybe going with, on a regular basis, the last full week of March as the spring break. And if Easter is earlier, having Good Friday off, and so that everybody knows the last week in March is going to be the break, or something like that.
Does that parallel what YSU does to you?
Well, that's one of the things that was talked about, and I'm not sure where the universities are.
Yeah, it kind of suggests just seeing where YSU is with the amount of population we have at YSU and being able to give families.
And that was the point. Okay, everybody's looking at the public schools, but now you've got a family who's got a kid who's in the university too, and now, so just something that we're, obviously by January and February, we need to start looking at our calendar because of scheduling and that kind of thing. So I don't have waiver days in there or any of those kind of things, because those you can kind of plug in, but they're looking at trying to be uniform across the county. So a couple of options there. The last thing I think that I have is kind of a neat story, and I'll pass this card around too. And Coach Tim Hall wants this back, but Tommy Shadle. And I gave you a copy of the card, but Tommy Shadle is the boy that's on the front of this, and they sent a thank you. I don't know, Doug, do you know, was that in our game that he got the concussion?
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very serious concussion to the point that he had trouble walking, going through some rehabilitation, some therapy, and so on. Coach Hall and Coach Blevins and Coach Deal, I'm leaving one out, I can't think of who the other two are. Yeah, they kind of took up a collection from the kids and the coaches. They sent them various gift cards. You can see, reading by the letter, the family was just so touched by that. the principal from McDonald called me one day, says, hey, I want to let you know, this mother come in, she was in tears, just overwhelmed by what our kids and our coaches did, and just a great gesture. He made sure the board knew about it, and the family has just been so appreciative, and just a neat thing. And I talked to the football team at one point and just said, those are the kind of things that make your season a success or not. It doesn't matter how many games you win or lose. It's those little things that go so far, and that just, and we laughed because when I talked to friends, we said, we're rivals, but, we're still human beings, and when you do those kind of things, and I think a great lesson for the kids, and, just kind of a neat thing, so. But like I said, the pictures didn't come out. In fact, they included one of the pictures on the thing I gave you is him actually going through some therapy and some rehabilitation with a walker, and I think the one picture, the lower left picture, is in the bleachers where he couldn't even stand long enough to be on the sidelines with the team. The concussion was so bad. So it's a serious thing, and it is something. The awareness for the coaches is heightened and elevated, and and again, I'm being more and more a believer in the shock strips that we have on our helmets.
I'm totally a believer.
It just seems like that's something that has really helped out with that. So, but we did that on a good note. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Mark, I know I didn't write no card about this, but it was just brought up with this college for next year, which hopefully my child will take advantage of that. I would hope, I'm a steel worker, I'm not an educator, I don't know how the world works. Here's what I see. I hope we get the same quality of education having a high school teacher teaching college courses. I hope that's all looked into. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to just have it on writing and we followed, the state guidelines. You know how it is.
They have to be approved by the college.
I don't want him to get 2 years down the road. So hopefully you guys done your
In
homework
fact,
on
I'll
that.
tell you a couple things that are happening now is these kids who are in the post-secondary program are coming back here to get help from the teachers here, because they're just not getting that same help and that same thing from their professors. They do have to go through a process with Youngstown State where they have to get approved, they have to attend their meetings, they have to follow their curriculum. So everything is the same as the actual college course, only it's not the college professor, but the department chair from each one of those departments meets with those folks, and they design their curriculum where they want them to be. So they're getting the exact same thing that the kids in college are, but here and other places are doing it, you're getting it more one-on-one. So if you have a question how to write a paper, it's right there. Here's your teacher right here. You can ask him to do how to do it, and you're writing that same paper a college kid would write.
Certified. He had to get certified. His class, and I hate to say Fitch all the time, I apologize, but the class he teaches at Fitch is college certified. And I want to say he had to get certification to be accredited and to fulfill all those guidelines as well. I mean, it was like a little course he had to take to fulfill that. But that's a very good question.
I think you're likely to get better education here than you are in a lot of entry-level college classes.
They follow the course syllabus from the university. They give the final exam that the university gives. And we've had people from the college that are involved with this program say, here's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. You take calculus here for college credit, you're in that class for 36 weeks. You do it at the university, you're there for 16 weeks. So it's going to be a little bit slower pace. You're going to get the same material instead of it being, crammed at you saying, okay, you better do these 5 chapters tonight because tomorrow we're going on. So it really does have a lot of benefits.
That's a good question.
Good question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll
Yeah.
shoot those to the poll.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Mr. Halls?
Yes.
Ms.